ABC General Hospital spoilers show that Maxie has spent years trying to trust her own instincts. Usually she'd realize it too late after things had already gone wrong and left their mark on her life. But now standing quietly in her hospital room with her fingers barely shaking on the thin blanket, she felt a sharp truth hit her, one she wished she could push away. Nathan's return felt like a miracle, a lucky break that was hard to doubt. A gift tangled up with the pain of past memories. The more she let herself relax around him, the more everything felt off, like it was all just put on. Planned out by someone who fully understood what Nathan West meant to her and was hiding behind that to cover the truth. The way his voice flowed, the gentle look in his eyes, and even how he said her name, they touched her heart enough to crack it open. But still didn't feel like the man who used to live there. Every detail fit together just right, maybe even a little too perfect. Kind of like a portrait drawn by someone who observed him closely instead of someone who actually lived his life. Her mother's reassurances, Felicia's happiness, and all the excitement around this unbelievable comeback only made her feel more uneasy. Maxie held on to the memory of grief so clearly. She could still feel that heavy pain deep in her bones when she stood by Nathan's grave and the world seemed to shift. Without him. She remembered the harsh certainty of final death, how absolute and unyielding it was. And when she found the grave empty, no body, no sign, just a string of odd coincidences, her mind started putting together the puzzle pieces nobody else thought about. Anna showed the DNA evidence, the fingerprints, the medical records, they all matched up, sure. But that very flawlessness was the problem. Nothing in life ever fits together that smoothly. Nothing genuine ever comes back this pure after it's been broken. The more she listened to him talk, the more she noticed something was off, a rhythm that didn't quite fit. A breath that felt misplaced. A quiet disconnect only someone who loved Nathan with every ache in her heart could pick up on. She noticed how he talked to people, carrying himself with confidence. But he missed the little emotional signs that Nathan would have picked up right away. Spinelli's fear that she might end up back with Nathan only pulled her further into her own spinning thoughts. Instead of clearing things up, it showed her a harsher truth. Nobody else saw it the way she did. Nobody else noticed the quiet crack hidden just beneath his skin. They missed Nathan so much that they'd have welcomed even a shadow as long as it smiled gently. She wanted to believe as well, crave the simple happiness, to the comfort of coming back together, but her body pushed back in ways she couldn't brush off anymore. There was something in his eyes that felt empty, missing the weight Nathan had built up over years of fights, heartbreak and love. This man looked at her and seemed to remember her, but there was none of the feeling of a past they once shared. The change didn't happen all at once or with a big surprise. It built up slowly, like a storm that you can feel coming before the thunder even starts. She noticed him flinch when she mentioned the name of someone Nathan cared about. He slipped up on a small detail that Nathan would never forget and hesitated just a bit before answering questions he should have known right away. Every mistake just made her more suspicious, proving that the person who came back to Port Charles wasn't the man she had buried or the one she once loved. Felicia saw hope, Britt saw family, Liesl wanted a reunion. But Maxie noticed something different: calculation, hiding beneath kindness, purpose masked by care, and a plan behind a familiar face. She didn't let herself think about it until she was alone, lying awake in a cold mess of sheets. And then the scary thought finally took hold. Someone had made this man, shaped him to look like Nathan, giving him just enough personality to fool those who were desperate for answers. But he couldn't trick her heart. Her grief, which used to feel like a fresh wound, had turned into a guide. It led her to one clear truth she could no longer ignore: this man was a fraud. This wasn't just someone lost or forgetting who they were. It was someone who had chosen to enter Nathan's life on purpose, with a reason serious enough to cover up by pretending to come back from the dead. Maxie sensed it in how he looked at her when he thought she wasn't paying attention, in the quiet tension under his gentle touch, in the quiet hunger in his eyes, as if he wasn't aiming to get back what was lost, but trying to break into what was still to come. The realization settled over her like a cold weight. She finally realized why his arrival had lined up so perfectly with Britt's return, why the grave was empty, and why everything had played out like a carefully staged show. There was a plan behind it all, some bigger scheme she hadn't figured out yet. And she wasn't just grieving anymore. She was being chased by the very image of what she had lost. If nobody else believed her and the town decided to hold on to hope instead of the truth, she understood that she could count on only herself. She had been through enough manipulations and betrayals to no longer ignore the instincts gnawing at her now. Maxie shut her eyes and took a deep breath, bracing herself for the nightmare that was starting to unfold around her. The man with Nathan's smile wasn't who he seemed to be. A weapon. A danger hiding behind a familiar face. The scary thing wasn't just that he was out there, it was that she was the one he picked first. Liesl always thought that if she tried hard enough, she could change what was meant to happen. She desperately wanted to fix her broken family, hoping to bring Nathan and Maxie back together. That hope had turned into an all-consuming obsession driven by her motherly love. She told herself she was steering fate, fixing what sorrow had taken away. But as soon as she tried to hold on tighter, the cracks in her perfect vision started to spread. Liesel's push for Nathan to go back to Maxie to take back the life that was taken from him years ago wasn't about love anymore. It had turned into a way to control him, driven by her fear of losing the last bits of her son. She wanted the reunion so much that she didn't notice the resistance growing behind Nathan's calm, calculated answers. She thought his pauses meant he was emotionally overwhelmed and his distance was just part of healing from past pain. She never stopped to wonder why he got more restless the more she pushed. But Maxie definitely felt it. She could sense the distance in his presence, how he didn't stay in the same room with her for long, and how his eyes lost their spark whenever Liesel talked about second chances or trying to fix what they used to share. She felt something closing in on him, a secret wrapped so tight it twisted everything he said and did. Maxie wasn't sure what form it took, but she could feel its weight pressing into every moment they shared. Liesel's stubbornness made the tension even thicker, leaving Nathan barely any room to keep up whatever act he had going. The harder Liesel tried to get close, the more Nathan backed off, turning their relationship into an unseen struggle between a mother longing to reconnect and a man trying to keep his secret hidden. The truth started to show in little things, how Nathan tensed up when Liesel said main zone, the fake smile he tried when Maxie softly touched his arm, and the sudden panic in his eyes whenever talks got near the past. Liesel saw his discomfort as a sign of emotional weakness, something she expected after trauma and memory loss. But Maxie noticed something else. She saw a man who wasn't scared of remembering, but scared of someone finding out. The more Liesel pushed, the more unpredictable Nathan got. Like he was trying to hold himself together, but knew it was only a matter of time before everything fell apart. What Liesel couldn't understand, and what Maxie was just starting to figure out bit by bit, was that Nathan's deepest, the secret wasn't about memory lapses or emotional struggles at all. It was darker, more intentional, built right into the core of his comeback. Every move he made had a calculation behind it, a quiet strategy hidden beneath the surface. He wasn't just drifting around, he was actually steering his way through. Every time Liesel pushed, it risked revealing why he had returned the mission he never wanted anyone to find out about. Liesel thought she was doing Nathan a favor by helping him take back control of his life, but in truth, she was pushing him closer to a secret he wasn't ready to face. The breaking point hit out of nowhere right when things were supposed to be gentle. Maxie moved closer, slowly, speaking gently, her heart fluttering with a blend of hope and nervousness. She talked about James, about the life they had imagined together, and about how they might still move on, even if the past could never be put back exactly the way it was. She wasn't asking for much. She wasn't pushing. She was just giving him the chance to pick her if that's what he wanted. But instead of accepting it or even hesitating, Nathan pulled back so suddenly it felt like a punch to the gut. His eyes grew sharp, his jaw tightened, and for the first time the mask he usually wore fell away completely. He said no to her. Not gently. Not with confusion. But he did it with cold, calculated precision. Like staying away from Maxie wasn't just a reaction, but something he had to do. His voice didn't have the warmth she used to know, and it lacked the tenderness he once showed so easily. The denial hit Maxie hard and sudden, leaving her standing there unable to believe what she'd just heard. Liesel caught her breath, stunned by what she'd just seen and struggling to take it all in. Her whole idea of getting back together fell apart right away. And what took its place was a fear she'd never let herself think about before. Nathan wasn't turning away from love, he was guarding a secret, and he would do whatever it took to keep it hidden. Maxie felt her world shift as the truth settled deep within her. His rejection didn't come from feelings. It wasn't personal. It was planned on purpose. Because a man pretending to be Nathan just couldn't handle real closeness. He didn't want to get too close because it might reveal him. He wasn't being cruel when he pushed back, he was just trying to survive. Liesel wanted to argue to get some kind of answer. But Nathan's face grew cold in a way she'd never seen from any of her sons before. The room went quiet, leaving Liesel shaking, Maxie catching her breath, and that question just hanging there, thick like smoke. If he wasn't her Nathan, then who was he? So who was it that actually came back? So what was his plan with Maxie now that she saw right through him? The truth had always been there, hidden under layers of grief, longing, and a stubborn hope to be reunited. But now, as pieces of Nathan's broken memories started coming back, something scary came along with them. The realization that the woman in front of him, the one everyone called Maxie, wasn't the Maxie he had loved, mourned, and thought he'd never see again. Her smile felt strangely planned, the shake in her voice almost like she had practiced it, and the softness she showed seemed too exact to be genuine. It felt like someone had studied Maxie West so closely, even down to her heartbeat, and then took over her body with some kind of dark intent that you just couldn't understand. As Nathan's memory started to clear up, the truth he'd been pushing away became impossible to ignore. This woman had Maxie's face, her past, and her pain, but she didn't have Maxie's soul. The imposter sensed a shift inside him before he could even put it into words. She saw how his eyes stayed a little longer than usual, how a flicker of confusion danced behind them, and how his pause grew into a sharper, more thoughtful look. She felt growing more uneasy that the illusion she had created was starting to break apart. She used to move through every conversation with such natural confidence, how she gestured the words she chose. Even the quiet sadness in her voice felt intentional, like it had been carefully put together. But now the true memories Nathan held were coming back like ghosts, and each one was like a blade slicing through the identity she had borrowed. She couldn't tell what he would do next anymore. She couldn't predict anymore when his memories would suddenly light up and reveal her. With every shift in his face and every hint of doubt, she caught the danger closing in felt even more real. At first, her task seemed straightforward: enter Maxie's life, fill the gap left by her going away, and keep Nathan steady just long enough for the organization's bigger plan to come together. The real Maxie was taken several months back, snatched away to a secret place where they pulled out her memories and turned them into weapons, copying each piece bit by bit into the mind of the woman who now goes by her name. The transition went smoothly. The implantation went smoothly. No one asked her about it because their grief clouded their minds and hope made them kind. Poor Charles welcomed her right away, letting her blend in like she was part of the place all along. But then Nathan showed up out of nowhere, and that changed everything. The Nathan they sent back was meant to be empty, someone with broken memories that fit perfectly with the story the organization wanted him to accept. But Nathan had always been tougher than anyone thought. His memories just wouldn't stay quiet. When they came back clearly, they exposed every mismatch the imposter had tried so hard to hide. Now the imposter, the fake Maxie, started to feel trapped, like the walls were closing in on him. She was told this could happen, that memory doesn't always behave, and that Nathan's bond with Maxie was too deep, too real and too spiritual to ever be copied exactly. But she thought she was ready. She thought she was better than everyone else. But the growing intensity in Nathan's eyes said something different. The man she was supposed to control was starting to slip away, and as soon as he realized she wasn't Maxie, the whole plan would fall apart. What scared her the most wasn't being found out, it was the thought that Nathan could actually come across the real Maxie. Maxie was still alive. Still fighting. She's still waiting for someone to reach her. The imposter understood that if Nathan ever caught up to her, the truth would spread quickly. She just couldn't let that happen. Nathan felt crushed by memories that came back in sudden bursts, moments of laughter, dreams they once shared. And the heartaches and victories that felt so vivid, they couldn't be just figments of his mind. The more he thought back, the more he noticed that the woman next to him reacted wrongly to moments that had shaped their lives. She showed love in ways Maxie had never experienced before. She stayed clear of sharing the personal stuff that only Maxie would recall. And the worst part was how she looked at him. Her eyes showed love, but there was no past between them. No depth. There's no trace left of the life they used to have. That realization hit him deep. Someone had taken Maxie's identity. Someone else had taken her place. Someone was hiding behind her life like it was a disguise. Nathan's fear shifted to anger, a heat rising inside him as he realized just how deep the betrayal went. But he understood that moving carefully was necessary. If he slipped up once or gave away that he knew the truth, the imposter would disappear or worse, attack. He had to figure out where the real Maxie was. He needed to find out what was really going on with her abduction. He had to stick close to the woman acting like she loved him, since she held the key to figuring it all out. But the imposter felt him waking up. She noticed it in how his jaw clenched, the intensity in his eyes, and the quiet resolve that came through in everything he said. She felt a shiver run down her spine when it hit her that she wasn't just pretending to be Maxie anymore, she was getting ready to fight. It was a war she had been trained for. She was ready to start a war. If Nathan really wanted the truth, he knew he had to fight for it. If the real Maxie was still out there, hidden behind locked doors and lost memories, the imposter would rather burn everything down than let Nathan find her. For the first time since Maxie came into her life, she felt real fear, not about being found out, but about losing control. Nathan's memories had come back to life. Maxie's absence had been noticed. And now as the imposter steadied herself, one thing hit her with chilling clarity. The real fight was only getting started, and Maxie, wherever she was about to find herself at the heart of a storm darker than anything poor Charles had known before.